Yo, my guys, my ladies, my 0.07% of ladies, and people, whatever is in between. Here we go. We've made it. We arrived right back to where we started. As every adventure ends. You know it. I know it. The Koopa is here to explain to you, essentially, what this religion really means, and what the end of version 3 means to us as humans on this wonderful, wonderful planet, this Earth thing that we call home. And we're gonna relate that to Astolfia. Right now, we're in the hall. Wait, is this? Wait, I don't know what this place is called. The Memory of Absolution. Here we go. And this is essentially, if you recall from our first episode, where we picked our class. But this is now, we are an actualized human being in the Nadraga realm. We're figuring, excuse me, we're figuring out the story of these gods and how they relate to, generally, the fact that, the dragon god has betrayed all of the others and become the quote-unquote evil one of the bunch. But this holy shit gets more and more, I don't want to say in-depth, but more complex as we go on between the virgins. Jesus Christ. It's early, guys. I have a hard time speaking. Especially when I don't warm up my tongue and vocal cords. Got a little coffee here to wake myself up. But, yes, there is power within religion, but I think more than that. There's power within multiple religions, because as you can see here, there's like a lot of gods. Of course, there's only one true main, I believe, what's the Grand Zenith is what the pit boss is called. But I like the idea that it takes a nation. To defeat the darkness, it takes a community. It's really not just one guy. And I've admired that fact about, certain secular religions and things like that. Certain, per se, lower tiered cultures with their multiple gods. I feel like they have merit. But I feel like the true merit in religion is just being the kind of person who can see the value in any religion and can sort of make their own. Arts and crafts style, you just take what you want out of anything and move on. And I'll just get a small example. I'm only gonna bash Christianity because it's what I grew up with, So I do love a lot of things in it, particularly one thing that I actually use in my regular life is the golden rule, and I feel like that's not only a Christian thing, but it's where I learned it from. You gotta treat people the way you'd like to be treated. You have to put the love forward first, no matter what comes back. At least you put that there first, and then you'll see. And then once you get your replies or your results, then you dictate how you're gonna act from there. But even still, I wasn't really comfortable spewing vitriol, spewing violence, toxicity towards anyone. So, we just turn our unkindness into silence, and allow them to bake their own responses. It's very easy to allow someone to show their true colors when you give them no ammo, nothing to work with, nothing to meld. They'll tell you exactly who you are, because who else are they going to interact with? It's themselves. So if they start getting evil, and you didn't say shit to them, you didn't do shit to them, you know where it's coming from. Very easy clarity user right there. You know what I'm saying? The clarity comes easily. Yeah, it is the Grand Zenith right there. So this part is where I could, and I suppose I will, draw a little bit of a parallel to the Bible and the Pharisees, or the Africans and whatnot, to the Nabargians, because essentially they were punished by the gods, sent to these realms because of their transgressions. And their gatekeeper, their god keeper, to my knowledge, is how I understand this story. He went a little overboard, essentially. He went a little overblown with the punishment, and so now the other gods have to dial him back, and it's been multiple millennia years since they've been condemned, and now we think it's time for forgiveness. Now we think it's time to move on. We got to update the meta. The Navardrians, they've done their part. They've served their time. So, now as a liberator, we are accepting and bringing all these people out of captivity. And I feel like, bringing this parallel back to the real world, it's not really like, Jews or Pharisees or black people or whatever they're being liberated in this internet story. I don't feel like that's the parallel they're drawing. I think the parallel they're actually trying to draw with this story is liberating all of the hyper-fixated, terminally online illness, mentally ill children, and adults, and boomers, and allowing them to, be induced into the real world again. Of course, the Navardians, after this version, don't get, exiled from their element world or anything. They don't come into Astoltia. Of course, they're allowed to leave now. But the thing is, you're as a terminally online person, you're never really going to get out of it. You're just going to understand and be able to see that what you're in is not real, that the religion you're worshiping is not real, and the God that you have actually hates you. And then, hopefully, you'll decide to engage with, the internet in a more wise way. Because, like I said, it is a tool. These realms are helpful. A lot of them are very beautiful. But yeah, you gotta understand that you can't worship something and truly just go by its rhetoric, without understanding the true facts, the true nature, and the true history of things. And I feel like that's what this general part is trying to teach us. Trying to learn us in, It's not a bad lesson to learn either. In my eyes, I feel like, just being a little bit more observant, conscientious of what we're consuming is very wise. And I think that's just the main spiel, the main rhetoric here. You just have to be aware. And that's what we're doing here. So, as you can see with this boss that we are about to fight, as your little witness, there's going to be a big focus, during the boss on sort of light skills, the dragon combinations, a lot of magic as well. But we're going to be observing all of the realms of, I don't know, I guess the realms of the realm. I forget what this place is called. The 5 eternal realms. Essentially, we're going to be traveling through everything we've done before. A lot of games love to do this. A lot of RPGs in general as well love to do this. You bring some sort of mechanic, visual elements, structure that sort of encompasses all of the things you've done in the game in the final moments. So that's what we're doing here. I realized I didn't even do a little recap of what we did last time. Last time we had a giant kaiju fight, and right now we are inside of the final boss, the giant dragon god that we must defeat. And now that we are at his core, we're gonna destroy him from the inside out. Yes, yes, yes. And today, you might be wondering why I labeled this episode such a weird thing here, because I have a little episode name right in front of me. And I don't think I've really related to it too much, but it has to do with this boss. And the reason why is because essentially the boss is the evil will, the whole god of Nadrag. It's not really a real person. It's more of a concept, right? But the concept has possessed or taken over, just like it does. It takes over the minds and the hearts of many individuals, and they become the vessel. And so, the vessel for this was our lovely friend that we fought last time, Master Ortus. And yeah, we're gonna have a little cutscene here where he's still there, really in it. That's who we're fighting in reality. Not really the god, but the physical embodiment of that god within him. And of course, they captured our wonderful friend here. Estella is, essentially what the Nadragas needed. They desired the true heart of the people. And that's just a pure-hearted individual, a pure-hearted being. Because I think the whole lore, and this is just me not entirely paying attention, but I think the whole lore with her is because she didn't die during the fires and the poison of her town when they started to cause havoc on the Nevardians and try to force everyone to connect the realms. When they started that, she didn't die automatically, so she has the, it's sort of like the Last of Us. She's like the Ellie who can survive this bullshit Nadraga rhetoric. And so, Ortos immediately befriended her and, became in, and I think maybe, this is a little parallel with real life, because just from my experience, I'm not going to say this is 100% fact, because like I said, a lot of my life models really don't make sense when we bring them out there. But just from my personal experience, what I've noticed is that in real life, when you meet someone who is vibrantly light, super, super beautiful, super amazing, very, very kind, and it seems like they just, they have it all figured out, they have it all together, they're, quote-unquote perfect person, whatever. Someone who's just really, really good, even though no one's perfect, whatever. Someone who just seems really, really good. They're always paired with, and then someone just always comes along who is so unfathomably evil. Out of nowhere, seemingly, too. To counteract that, to give a little balance, If you were, like, maybe a regularly okay person, then you're really not going to detect that much of a balance, especially if you interact with both sides, the yin and the yang. But you see, that's how the world works. Whenever it sees something that holy, in order to balance it out and to have the yin and the yang truly interact with each other in a proper way, the world has to introduce that heal to you. So I think that's what Ortos did. Of course, he was supposedly seen as a mentor of sorts, a father figure, a guide, guardian, whatever you want to call it. He was seen as that at first, but yeah, he the whole part, man. He's just been spying on us and inspecting shit, and you never really know why. But in general, whenever somebody needs to know information about you without you knowing about it, or needs to know how something is gonna end, or if it hasn't already corrupted them, the knowing automatically does, in the end. Because there's no real way to truly predict what's gonna happen in our constantly variably changing world. I mean, that's the one thing that you can count on humans all the time, to just be so unpredictable. And of course, you can sort of have guidelines, you can have wise estimations of what could happen or what is happening. But there's no way to get a 100% accuracy reading, and I would love that. I would fucking love that in the world. But I honestly think that would kind of ruin a lot of it. I mean, that's probably the reason why I like playing RPGs, is because you can make a really, 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 really good plan, and it still has a chance to not work. Because of hit rates, because of crit rates, because of status effects. And I like that about life, because it really shows me that you just modify your parameters a little bit, and maybe it won't work, maybe it will, but you have to try. You have to. And you have to put your best foot forward. And I do feel confident in the way that I interact and grow in things, and gain tools. Excuse me. Problem is, nowadays we have way too many tools and way too many options. So a common mistake in those like me is to just constantly gather tools and not know which one to use, or only use the tools that you really want to perfect instead of using the tools that you're already pretty good at. I can understand wanting to be good at something that you're not good at, but unless you're already having fun, probably not worth it. I'm just gonna be fucking real with you guys, because we all want money, we all want, repertoire, recognition, attention, validation. We all want that, right? And it's not gonna feel good if you're doing something that you are shit at and you don't like doing. You realize you're gonna have to do that for a long time to get any results that you're actually proud of, that you can actually show to people, that you can actually, you know, wear on your chest, on your sleeve, think about when you're outside and puff your chest out. You know, it's gonna take forever, and especially since you don't like it. But if you do like it, turn that around, and it might still take forever to get good at it. Sure, who gives a fuck? I like doing it. Who gives a fuck? So just be honest with yourself, guys. Truly. Like, this world, this life has given us this crazy environment where the horizontal grind is so fucking good. You just gotta check out, you just gotta do your own thing, and you know, a lot of people were all like, oh, I was born in the wrong generation, I was born in the wrong place. You know what, as a millennial, I think I was born in the exact right generation. I don't even think I'm a millennial. I was 96, so I'm like a right in the middle of millennial and Gen Z. I'm like a cusper, I think is what they're called. Not Gen Z, Gen X? I don't know. I actually don't know the generations, being honest, but yeah, I feel like I was born in the correct generation, the perfect generation, the most wholesome generation, because truth be told, all in all, of course, people are great. Of course, people are the entire goal of life. But, you know, when I look back and when I think back to everything and every, you know, moment where I feel like I've been truly happy, truly whole, you know, truly fulfilled in life, it hasn't had to do with anybody else. I don't think of a certain person. I don't even think of a certain place. I think of my room. I think of my thoughts. I think of my environments, my dances, my creations. But most of all, I think of my story, you know? A lot of things that have happened in my life are just a retelling of, you know, the core hero's journey. But like once I learned about that in literature class, I was like, oh shit, let's go. That makes total sense. But the problem with the hero's journey is that although we all go through it, a lot of people just sit at the abyss and are just like, well, I don't need to learn things. We'll just wait here. We'll wait here for someone to save me. Because, you know, that's how you make it out of this shit, right? I'm not supposed to do anything. Someone else is supposed to come here and clean this shit up, right? Yeah. Then the little grabby hands will grab me out like a crane game, you know? That's what's supposed to happen. I don't know why I feel like the need to say this every episode nowadays, but no one's coming to save you guys. No one is coming to save you or me or anyone ever. We have to, you know, oh my goodness, I have to tune into my boomer stats right now. My boomer grind. I know y'all love hearing this one. Pull yourself up by your damn bootstraps, you young trap. Scrap. Because, you know, the world's gonna threaten you with, I guess it's not even a threat. Just, you know, it's just gonna give you nothing. It's not even a threat. It's just gonna threaten you with, the emptiness of nothingness. And a lot of people are scared of that. A lot of people, you know, turn to suicide because of that. Because, you know, I've done all of this world, and now my girlfriend's left me, my dog's dead, and everything sucks, and no one cares about me. And I'm like, yes. Isn't that great? Isn't that fulfilling? Now you have the full regard to do whatever the fuck you want with no one breathing down your neck, no one asking you, is this good, is this bad? And yeah, just me as the person I am being, I haven't had to work for attention. Let's just say it like that. You know, I'm very tall, I'm very loud, I'm very noticeable. So, yeah, I'm sorry if I don't have too much empathy when I see people disappearing constantly. I'm like, yeah, I wish I could do that. I wish I could, but I'm too fucking aware, and I know that if I do that, the smell that I have will be stinking up this room for years to come. And honestly, if that's gonna be the case anyways, I might as well be here physically, you know, be able to do some shit as well. You know, I'm not someone who believes that you really just die and leave and disappear and nothing is there. I believe there's just another part, there's just another episode, there's just another chapter. You know, I could die in this life and then I become like a snake on, you know, Uranus, and let's not finish this analogy because I feel like I was going to a wholesome place and then just my random brain just pulled the horny into me. Like I slurped the horny into my words right there. That was crazy. No, I am not pausing. We're gonna keep going. I got so off topic, it's so funny. But anyways, guys, what we're doing here is discussing what comes from the same place. And all in all, guys, whether it's a god, whether it's a demon, whether it's, you know, your lover, your hater, that intense energy, that intense emotion, it's gonna come from that same area. It's gonna look and feel the exact same, depending on which side of it you're on. I'm not even joking, guys. A lot of people, in my opinion, I'm noticing this a lot more now. They have both love and hate in their hearts, and they just move it in whatever direction they want, you know? And these strong emotions, they have the same root cause. You know, love is an action, and hate can bring you to action, but I feel like love without action is just sort of like admiration or something like that. It's not real love, you know? At least in my opinion. And so when you have that hate that can be, you know, with or without action. And you know what, maybe let me switch this up here now, because I feel like hate can be, you know, just the action too. You know, if I feel like we're doing the love with just action, then the hate has to be with just action too, right? Yeah, you can't just sit on your ass and hate. So I don't even know what these internet trolls really are doing. And a lot of people say words can't do shit to me, you know, like it doesn't matter, but clearly they do. These content creators crash out just from some words on a screen that they read. That they have to, you know, nobody's grabbing their eyeballs and forcing them to the screen or making them open their phone and look at it. Like they're willingly doing that. So what I'm saying is, when a content creator opens up their phone and looks at these comments, they are taking an action of love. Usually, I'm not gonna say this is a one-to-one, but usually when they open up their phones, they don't actively look for the hate. And if they look for the hate, it's because it's fueling them in somehow. It's fueling their love of themselves or of the topic that they're hating or whatever. You know, they don't look for that. But what do they get? From that action, they receive sometimes, you know, more than the positive. They receive a lot of the negative. They receive a lot of the hate. And so when I'm saying things like these things are coming from the same direction, from the same place, it's the core value. What makes you be pushed or pulled away from something is generally the same. Generally, like a similar concept in this game would be attributes, you know, element types. So one thing you can do in this game to rapidly boost your damage is get rid of resistances. You know what I'm saying? And I'd say love and hate are like light and dark resistance. See, now the funny thing about resistances is that if you reduce the resistance of anything in this game, often it's going to up the damage. Like if you reduce light resistance and, you know, you're just using a random weapon or whatever, it's actually going to increase the damage of most elemental attacks. And a lot of weapons just automatically have light attributes to them, you know? So it's the same thing, you know, with love and hate. You know, you may reduce one attribute, one resistance, one resistance to love, and then suddenly you're receiving more hate damage, and you're like, well, what happened? I just thought I was opening myself up to more love, more happiness. In reality, when you lower that resistance, when you lower the direction, it's for everything. And a lot of people don't just connect the dots and see that, man, a lot of people can just easily fool you into believing that your love is the hate and your hate is the love. And that's how we get trapped in these abusive relationships. That's how we get trapped in, you know, even abusive parents and friends and stuff like that. It's that you can make like sort of a pie, a sandwich, a bakery. You know, let's go with another analogy here, because I'm just on fire with these fucking analogies apparently. I don't think any of them have hit, so we're just gonna keep throwing dots. We're just gonna keep throwing them at the board. So you're cooking this pie. It has layers, and before you take a bite, they say this is the love cake. I built it with all this love, and you look at the top of the pie, and it's got the love coating on it, right? It's okay, cool. You slice into it, you take a bite, and then, you know, oh man, after that love coating, it's all hate. It's all hate, 100% of it. But you didn't know, and also, you can't really fucking tell, you know? You really can't. They're both strong energies. And look at this guy's beautiful smile. You don't really know if he's happy or not. He's kind of just there. That's the horrible thing about the internet too, is that these text messages that people send, most times, guys, if someone hates you, they're not gonna be angry at you in your face. They're gonna be angry at you when they're sending a text to you. They're gonna be angry at you when they're talking about somebody else about you. They're gonna be angry at you when they're driving down the road getting ready to go to your place. But when they actually get there to you, which is actually a very short amount of time in their life, I'm sorry, if you don't live with someone, you're not around them for that long. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter if you go on dates every day. It does not matter. That is still 1 hour of the 24, you know? You want to put it into percentages, it's like, what, 1 divided by 23? God damn, that's like less than 10%. It's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. You know, let me get that calculator out. What is... yep. Yep. I don't know. My calculator... Look, it's hard to think of things on the spot here, and I honestly don't feel like doing math this early. Being real with you. But essentially, this is not to radicalize you and tell you that everybody's cheating on you or everybody hates you. I'm just letting you know that they're very easily misconstrued, and a lot of people don't think that you know, hate can be so close to love. But to me, you know, if you're not completely 100% there for a person, you're just kind of conveniently leeching off of them for your own benefit, how is that anything but hate? How is that anything but manipulation? You know, a lot of people would say, I don't hate them, I just don't, you know, love them like they think I love them. Okay, so you're just actively tricking them for no reason, okay? No, I don't love them, I just don't think their art is really that good, so I'm lying to them. Oh, okay, so you're actively tricking them again for your own benefit. Cool. And, the thing is, guys, you have to be honest about how wholesome or good of a person you are, and you really to truly take stock in it. At least for me, that's what gives me a lot of peace. Just knowing that, you know, I'm kind of a piece of shit. And I probably will never stop being a piece of shit. And although I still identify myself as love itself, I know that's not enough. I know that never will be enough. And I'm completely okay with that. I'm completely okay with most people in my life thinking I'm a troglodyte, disgusting human being. Because, you know, I am. You know I am. I know I am. We all know I am. And, you are what you believe, but more than that, you are what you do. You know, that's why a lot of people walk up to you and say, what do you do for work? Or, you know, what do you do for a living? Where do you work? Or whatever. That's like the main question. But in reality, guys, it's not really about the specific physical activity you're gonna be, you know, earning your money for. They just kind of like want to rate you on a scale of how much love they think you're able to hold in your hands from your occupation. Which is retarded, because I mean, like, it's just the way we're making money, and with nowadays, it's not even the way we're making money, it's the way we're surviving, you know, in general. It has nothing to do with how you relate to people. in my opinion. You know, I've seen some really, really beautiful, some really, really wholesome, some really, really amazing to talk to trash people. And I'm talking about garbage men, not not people who are trash, but also trash people who are very, very, very conscientious, able to understand their faults, their flaws, you know, maybe have shit jobs or whatever, but they're just personable. You know? They may fuck people over, but they're honest about it. I call them trash people. They call themselves trash people. It's whatever. Who cares? But in reality, a lot of people just can't stand acknowledging their mistakes. Like, you know, it was a mistake for me to act like I could divide 24 by 1 and give you guys a percentage. That was a mistake for me. It's also like 4 a.m. in the morning, so there's that. No excuses, but there's that. But the thing is, a lot of people don't want to own up to these mistakes because once again, they think it can fill other people's minds with hate. When in reality, the only reason why you think that is because once again, it's all you, man. It's all in your head. If you didn't hate yourself, it would be so much easier. So much easier. Just build on that, you know, actually build up the parts of you that are more powerful, you know, that you do want to portray, that you do want to show to other people, and become a better person. But a lot of people just don't want to acknowledge their mistakes in the first place. They're like, I didn't make those. That wasn't me. Mistakes? Drake? Okay. But you do have to acknowledge. And in saying that, I will acknowledge my mistake. Just now, we died. That was shitty. Now we have a new team. So I'm doing a pirate, a deathmaster, and of course we have a more powerful, slightly more powerful, pig, Shammy here. I did some grinding. I did some leveling. And we're gonna whoop this guy's ass this time, no matter what. No matter what, okay? Okay, guys? Alright? You ready? I'm ready. I'm ready. Indeed. But yeah, that's the thing, and I feel like that's the most loving thing you can do, not to other people, but to yourself. Of course, some people would say like, "Oh yeah, I don't want to let them have the satisfaction of knowing that they were right and I was wrong." And I'm like, okay, so you hate yourself. You hate yourself. Say it again, because the thing is, guys, it's just like cheating on a test. You're not hurting anybody but yourself when you do shit like this. Real talk. Real talk. Because you don't realize the delayed gratification ways of growing will lead you to a place where, you know, you need to acknowledge the fact that you may or may not have gotten something wrong in the past. Because you will be so good, people will like want to correct you and give you that grace to know that, oh my gosh, he made this one mistake, but he's been working on himself for so fucking long that I just do not care. And you know, he takes it with grace anyway. So you know, I just don't care. You know, we're just gonna move on. I'll correct the mistake for him. You know, that's eventually what it becomes. Eventually, of course, it used to happen a lot quicker, a lot smoother of a transition back in the day, I assume. And also now when this happens to people, oftentimes they crash out in different ways. You can crash out in the ego way, or you can crash out, you know, in the opposite way and just go silent. Check out from life. If you crash out on the ego way, then you start to think you're the fucking boss of everything, and then everybody loves you, and then, you know, the whole world is your oyster, and then, you know, you either get arrested from going crazy with power, or, you know, you have a huge breakup because you tried to manipulate, girl boss, gatekeep too long, or whatever. It's one of those crash outs, or you have what is commonly happening and commonly not being talked about nowadays. A lot of these guys that have beautiful, wonderful, vibrant lives that are growing, they make one mistake, they think it's all their fault, they take that huge amount of accountability and ownership, and then suddenly they're just not here anymore. Because the thing is, guys, a lot of people don't respect people on this journey, especially when they see they're deep in it. And if you make one mistake on there, most people know that no one will give you grace. Most guys especially, you know? One wrong step on the road and they are waiting to, you know, devour your ass like piranhas. Truly. They're waiting to just say, oh, I knew he wasn't going to make it. They're waiting to just say all that bullshit, and it rides on my main frame. So I know, I imagine it rides on a lot of other guys as well. Not very good, right? But this is something we all have to deal with. There's not a lot of ways to commodify our labor anymore. Being real, guys. You really can't gain that huge success that most people want, you know, guys and girls. I'm not going to say I don't want huge success, I just kind of want comfortability. And for some reason, the US always knows how to work us just outside of our comfort zone, right? Ain't that great? But the thing is, guys, we have to understand that we're going to keep working no matter what for the rest of our lives, and the labor that we have is just not going to cut it. So I understand a lot of us feel like the influencer route is the only way, because if we can't sell our labor, we can sell our soul. And you know, sure, that's a solution. I don't think it should be the end all be all solution no matter what, because first of all, this ain't for everybody. Just like working ain't for everybody, just like construction ain't for everybody. You know, just not a one size fits all application. And two, there's a lot, and I mean a lot, of toxic ways to succeed that actually work. I feel like the main way that you're not seeing people succeed is to just really shut the fuck up, have no controversy, not talk about any of the bullshit. You know, and maybe this is just because you don't see them. Because, you know, who would talk about these guys? But, you know, people that just shut up and make content for 5 to 10 years, do nothing, cause no trouble, just do their stupid playthroughs, make their stupid music. You don't hear about these people because I really don't think, well, one, they're not interesting or popular or eye-catching, eye-grabbing, you know? They just have communities and safe spaces, you know, and that's not headline-inducing, if you will. But on top of that, it just takes long, you know, and these toxic, manipulative, all these other bullshit ways are way faster. They're way faster. Way faster and then quote-unquote easier, you know, in the moment. Yes, it's very easy to do crime, but, you know, some would say it's not easy to do the time. Me personally, I would rather do the time than the crime. I mean, like, what are we saying here, guys? Free rent, free food, for how long? Hello, let's go! I don't even need to talk to anybody if I get my own cell. Let's go! Now, the problem with jail for me would be if I had a cellmate that was an asshole. If I had a cool cellmate that just shut the fuck up and did nothing, like when I went to the psych ward, I had a I had a roommate. It wasn't a prison, it's just a fucking Baker Act. I had a roommate who literally said 0 words to me, and it was fantastic. Every time I went in there, he was pretty much sleeping. And, you know, don't we love mental illnesses that just cause people to act like weirdos? But of all the weirdos there, he was probably, you know, the most level-headed. You know, and I am very, very weird, but, yeah, there were some super weirdos there. So much so that I just kind of delegated to the back, ate my food, and, you know, even at the exercise times and then the crazy psych ward, I was like, you know what, I'm good. I don't even want to, like, dance or anything. I don't want to give too much out, because these people are actually trying to associate with me, and I'm disgusted. I am disgusted. I don't know why, like, I'm obviously incredibly mentally ill. But I don't know why I don't like to associate with the people that are like me at all, you know? Humans in general. I'm just not with it. And I don't know if it's just because of what I've experienced or what I've observed, but I think, honestly, it has to do with a lot of these opinions on love and hate and just my discerning nature. I've seen too much, whether it be on TikTok or TV shows or Netflix or movies. I've just seen too much. And then when I go outside, I automatically relate that to what I see in my observations, and then I just form conclusions that probably aren't true. Probably kept me safe at one point, or twice. But, for the most part, they don't aid me anymore. I don't need to hold on to these misconceptions. That's what my world is baked as, though. You know, there's not a lot of ways to unbake it. Besides just going out there and talking to real grassroots people with real opinions, and although I have tried that, the sad thing is a lot of them just give me the same inputs, you know? They lead me to the same conclusions about people. Yeah, I'd really like to think that most aren't horrible troglodyte human beings, but, you know, the percentages add up. 13% every time, man. And yeah, this is frustrating, but you know, there's a reason why stereotypes exist. There's a reason why racism exists in the first place, and there's a reason why it's so intrinsically baked into what we follow and what we have as a rhetoric here in the United States. It's because it protected us. You know, it's because this is what essentially the whole nation was built on. And if you're answering lies, then, you know, you're not wrong, essentially. You know, we had to do a lot of seedy shit to get where we are today. So, truth is, you gotta interact with both the love and the hate to succeed. That's why they're coming from the same place. You know, great things were built with love in our hearts and hate in our hands. So you gotta work with the yin and the yang, man. Oftentimes, you know, the love moves you and the hate drives you. I wouldn't run away from either of these feelings, especially if you feel them wholly. You don't even feel them at the same time sometimes, too. It's pretty insane. It's pretty incredible. But, the only thing you really need to remember about the whole love and hate conundrum is to just truly feel out what you're doing in the moment, you know? You truly embody what you need from the world. Oftentimes, when I get pissed off, I tend to lash out on myself and just bully myself neurologically in my head. And be like, oh, you're such an idiot for this, such an idiot. Healthier way to do that is write it out, you know? Put your words on the paper, because once they seem a little bit more solid like that, you realize how stupid you sound. Another healthy way I like doing it is to dance it out. You know, a lot of times I have a lot of love in my heart, a lot of times I have a lot of hate in my heart, but whenever there's a strong emotion, I just have to move it. I just have to express it in a bodily form. In a bodily form. I'm not saying you gotta do a whole, you know, dance routine. You know, maybe you have just a little YouTube intro that you like to groove out on. I don't know, man. I don't know which cosplay I have right here that I put out a YouTube intro that is very catchy and very nice to just dance out on before you watch the video. I have no idea. But yeah, guys, just find whatever works for you. But definitely don't suppress the emotion, and don't be like confused when you're met with an interesting concept for someone that you supposedly love. I assure you, incredibly natural, incredibly normal to harbor hate for anyone. You know, it's an emotion that we should not go away from. And I really feel like, you know, everything may relate to this whole suicide crisis, but I really feel like this one does. Because when you don't want to acknowledge the hate, guess where it goes? Right back into you, and it kills you from the inside. Indeed. That's why I had to, you know, take a step back and be like, wait a minute, why do I want to off myself? And it's because I don't want to kill anybody else. That's why, you know, it's the main thing. I just need to find somebody else to murder. And luckily we have Nadraga here, giving me a full belly to just slash and slice and dice. But for you, my friend, who doesn't have a vice like video games, fucking find one, please. Jesus Christ, I'd want you to be here. Not just to watch my stupid videos, but I don't know. Maybe I'm the idiot for thinking the world is a better place when we have more people. Maybe I'm the idiot. Because although I don't want to associate with any of you, a lot of you guys are required to make the society function in a proper way, you know? If there were no other people, we wouldn't have the translation for Dragon Quest X. We wouldn't have, you know, wonderful animators for all the lovely movies that I love to watch. We wouldn't have YouTube personalities. We wouldn't have these wonderful VTuber model mommies to create the wonderful models that I love to view. You know, there's many things that I love in life. I could go on listing droves of things that I love. But you can't run away from the shit you hate. You can't. As much as I wish the TikTok ban was final, we could just get rid of that shit. You know, as much as I wish I didn't feel the need to go on Tinder to talk to people. As much as I wish that I could actually have a real conversation with someone that is not on Discord. A lot of things, won't happen. They won't naturally occur like that, especially if you don't have a huge drive to make that happen. And I'm talking huge. I'm talking we're driving like 5 to 10 miles. Upstream. Up lake. I don't know. Oftentimes, guys, you gotta realize, man, the hate is within us. And oftentimes, it's what fuels the deepest of love. Because, you know, the light and the dark interact with each other. You know, you can be a love-being person, but you know, you still gotta have hate. Of course. Always good to acknowledge the fact that although you do have a lot of anger in you, there's the love too. There's the love. A lot of people would say that's a little bit of a demented way to think. You know, I could agree with you there. I could agree with you because I'm just so frustrated all the time. I'm gonna be real with you guys. I'm just so frustrated all the time because there are things in life that make me believe, and I feel like this is just my perspective. There's things in life that just make me believe that a lot of people just aren't as observant anymore. And to me, that's frustrating because I can't turn my observation powers off. And I'm going to call them powers, even though for the longest time in my life, I definitely called that shit a curse. I just observe hella fucking hard. And because of that, you know, I'm witness to a lot of hate. And oftentimes, this is why I consider myself love. Just the embodiment of love itself, because it's a very silent action in my experience. You know, a lot of the things that people do for love, they try to hide it. You know, they try to be like, oh, I didn't do that. That wasn't me. And then, you know, the stuff that people genuinely do out of love is always seen as, you know, performative or attention seeking. You know? And it's like some people just want to do shit to let other people feel good about themselves. You know, they just really don't care. And so now I feel like there's this crazy conundrum going on with like, to be an unperformative lover, you kind of have to perform the unperformance. You know, you have to like subscribe to Twitch streamers when they're offline or some shit, you know, which is like, why would, hello? But so many people, just from my perspective, can easily misconstrue the hate into like, I actually kind of like this person, you know. It really is all perspective. And from my huge discernment, man, I'm seeing a lot more people just choose to see everyone else as a hateful person. It's a choice. It's a choice. But yeah, it's also a choice to see the world as a way more loving place. And if I'm going by just rash interactions and what I truly feel in life, I'd say it really is a good maybe like 65-35 thing. I don't think it's that big of a difference. Maybe even like a 40-60 of hate to love ratio in the world. It's really not that bad. It's really an ebb and balance. But a lot of people are just treating everyone outside like they're a horrible person. And of course, it might keep you a little safe until you just get too much hate in you and you just kill yourself. You know, and who's really safe then? Like, great, yeah, the world's safe from your crazy ass. You were totally gonna crash out and ruin society, right? And that's what the world wants you to think. But yeah, we gotta stop villainizing each other. You know, man, woman, black, white. There's a whole villain era where, you know, nobody knows who to trust, and the solution is to trust yourself. Because I'm noticing a lot of people who have these crazy trust issues. It's like, man, when was the last time you said you were gonna work out and you actually worked out? For like a week straight, huh? When was the last time you thought of someone and you actually sent a text to them? When was the last time you said you were gonna show up to work on time and you showed up to work when you said you were gonna show up? You know, I need to know these things about these people who have these crazy views on life, because I really don't think they trust themselves. They really don't think, like they've just had so many people lie to them about the realities of what they do that they feel like they can't tell themselves to do anything now. Because if I do, it's just gonna come up and blow up in my face. And I'm like, well, not exactly. Because we have the power to fight against that. We have the power to fight against that, and that's called our love. Our conscious, you know, our sword of atonement. You know, slice through the bullshit, slice through the demons, who are always there. They're not gonna leave. Hell no, they ain't. I know plenty of people who have quote unquote figured it out. You sit down and you have a talk with them, and they're like, "Yeah, man, I'm having a lot of trouble, having a lot of conflicts in my mind, you know." And I'm like, "But I thought you what? But huh? No, man, it's everybody. It's literally everybody. It's all of us. No one really has it figured it out. No one." And I think that's beautiful. I think that's very okay. You know, once again, I'm a very big fan of work. I'm a very big fan of just progressing and getting better and growing. Like, growth is the one thing we can't get away from. And that's why I think from a very young age I was very scared of getting old, because like when you get old, essentially you start growing down. And I see it constantly. But what kind of made me feel better about it is that I realized I really don't have to grow up. I just have to have responsibilities, you know? And I'm noticing more and more the people that take on that role of not really growing up, but understanding that they have to take care of not only themselves but the people around them, and you know, truly living their life to the fullest area. I'm noticing these people, they really don't age the way other people age. And it's the people that sort of regress mentally. You know, they're so stubborn in their own ways. They've been stubborn in their own ways for too long, and they start getting more and more childlike. You know, I even have some of these people in my family. Those people age terribly, you know, not being able to walk terribly, you know, and then you see the other side of it. You know, there's just an obvious way that probably works most of the time. And that's the one I'm choosing. You know, I'm not going to be one of those people that just fights age, because that's one thing you can't fight, you know? I'm not going to fight growth either, but I'm going to grow in a different way, because, you know, why would I want to do it the same way that everybody else has done? The problem with the whole boomer culture, everybody hates old people now. They keep acting like this world is the exact same as it was 20 years ago. 10 years ago even. It's not. 2015 was an insane difference from 2025. And same with 2005. Same with 1995. But probably pretty similar from 1995 to 1985. And I'm just being real, guys. The advances since we got to like the 20th century have honest, like since the internet came and we were all like, we could talk on the world stage now. Not only has America been at the forefront of everything, and everyone has a huge like huge circle around us, a huge ball of bullshit just surrounding America and quote-unquote defending us and getting our GDP huge now. Oh, we're so amazing, we have to protect everyone else now. Like, no, we don't. We never have. But, of course, someone always has to social justice warrior and be like, nah, we are. We can. You know, we are the ones. I'm just saying, man, all this self-sacrificial shit will it'll just do that. It'll self-sacrifice yourself, you know? And I personally would just like to keep living where I'm living, you know? I don't know. Maybe this is why the Democrats is such a popular party, because they are really good at maintaining status quo exactly the way it is supposed to be. And although that sounds great, the status quo is shit right now. Which is why a lot of people voted for, you know, the whole Republican side. I'm not gonna name his name here. We don't even have his name in the damn video title or whatever, because honestly, I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of the political landscape and all this bullshit with that. Pretty sick. So, oftentimes I just, you know, kind of try to get it out of my YouTube algorithm by not, you know, not invoking the name, not Beetlejuicing 3 times in a row, you know. But yeah, I get it. A lot of times, maintaining the status quo, often, now that we have a weird status quo, it might not help us in the long run, in the long term. So you gotta think about things like that, guys. I mean, like, our rights, our, you know, privileges, they're at stake right now. There is a certain rhetoric that's being pushed that tells us we have a responsibility. That, personally, I didn't ask for. I don't think anybody here asked for. And, yeah, although we respond in, and we really do have a choice in that, I'd say we should definitely have a choice in how we enact this responsibility. Right? Just like life, you don't have a choice to live. You don't. You have to. But you have a choice on how to live. So, just in particular, and this is the last little statement I'll have on this, I just really feel like we just have a choice on where our money goes in regards to, you know, all this bullshit and all these random people jumping in and then jumping down our throats on the racism and all this bullshit. I'm like, who really gives a shit? Who really gives a shit? The only thing that you should care about in this damn country is where your money is going. And right now, it's not going to you. Or anything that probably helps you. I'm just letting you know. If you want to know more about it, go look up where your taxes go. That's all I'm going to say on that. And that's what really pisses me off about the world. People want to keep the status quo the way it is. I of course, want to live where I keep living right now. You know, in a happy, nice state. You know, where there's not bombs dropping constantly. You know, where I have a nice, beautiful park and neighborhood to walk around. That I don't get scared that the cop is going to stop and pull me over for literally doing nothing. And you know, I do have that fear. I just know how to talk to cops in America. Most of them are fucking retards. And they just want to know what's going on. They want to feel like they have power, just like everybody else. And oftentimes, guys, the easiest way to do your job when you are a national conflict bully starter, ender, excuse me. You know, whenever they bother me or someone like me, they definitely are a conflict starter. Whenever that is your job, you know, the easiest way to complete it is to just, you know, figure things out in a rambunctious, triggering way. And that's the thing about life. It's all performative, and most people are just trying to trigger you. I didn't realize why at first, but it is because, at least me specifically, your reactions are their fuel. I know my reactions are definitely the fuel, because when I stopped giving these crazy reactions to people and everything they did to me, guess what they did? They stopped fucking messing with me. But I love giving these crazy reactions to things. You know, if somebody pokes you, you go, "Ooh!" You know, it's funny, right? But eventually, you understand that people constantly pushing your buttons is going to affect you in negative ways, you see? Especially when nothing is given back, you know? I don't mess with other people like that. I don't care to. Why would I? Why would I want to touch, move, violate, whatever the fuck, other people? You know, and it's the same thing with love. I had a certain feeling early on that it really wasn't for me because I saw the way people were courting, and it involved a lot of force. A lot of, you will go out with me because I asked you, because I will make you love me. Here, let me give you all these things for you to love me. I'm like, no, I'm gonna let them come to me. I'm gonna let them come to me. Because if I have to force you into a position that you weren't already ready for or lusting for, I can just tell, you know, just from the guy I am, someone's gonna come along with more force. And I'm not gonna compete with that shit. Because I hate competition, you know? I'm not the one. So that's what I did. And, of course, didn't happen for a while. You know, it didn't get any attention for a while. And so you get desperate. You get desperate, you download Tinder, and suddenly you start taking whatever you can get. Not a wise choice, guys. Not a wise choice to just resign to the leftovers, if you will. Not the worst choice in the world, because of course it'll give you confidence. You gotta pork a little bit. You know, being a 40-year-old virgin is not the ideal, of course. But yeah, I'd say in general, guys, you can't just take what you can get. That's not gonna work. You have to have enough confidence and enough self-esteem to know that, you know, I don't know, man. Some things are just there because you're entertainment. Just there for your reactions, just there for, you know, your sustenance. And it's okay if you view them that same way. You know, there's a equivalent transaction. I'm just talking about the guys who really think people care about them, or people want them, or people have that passion for them. You're not gonna find that easily. You're gonna have to search for it. You're gonna have to truly work on yourself a lot until your value is undeniable. The reason why I still say nowadays that I have zero value, it's not because I have like 44 subscribers, it's because that is a deterrent. That's like that's like the little, you know, the neon colored spiders on the ground. When I say I have zero value, I want people to run. Head for the fucking heels. Because truthfully, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And no matter how much value I have, I know I'm right there, ready and willing to sacrifice 100% of my morals for someone else's love because I don't respect my own. I don't! So that's the goal for this time, guys. I usually end off these versions with a goal because I like doing that. Last time with defeating Masturbation Gora, and it's, you know, it's come along. I won't discuss the progress of that. We still got a couple months left. But this time I feel like it's understanding my actual value. And you know, that's not me begging for subs, that's not me begging for comments or likes or any of that bullshit. That's me generally being like, all the subs, the 44 motherfuckers that are here right now in this building, I appreciate you, I am not entitled to you, and I know that is not my inherent coherent value. It's way higher, it's way lower, whatever it is, but it's not a number. It's what I make it, and it's gonna get higher and higher every day I wake up and decide to work on myself. Which, you know, nowadays has been indeed every day. There's not a day when I get up and I don't decide to record, or work on my new job, or work out, or make some music. You know, there's not a day where I just don't get up and just have this drive to create, to make something out of my life. And I feel like a lot of people should have that drive more and have it come from an inherent place of value instead of, you know, searching for it externally and then having someone else be like, I have to make this for my mom, for my friends, for my VTuber idol, whatever it is. You're not making it for any of them. You're making it because just growing your value by yourself feels good. It feels Powerful. It's the same as grinding in this game. It feels good to me. It feels good to me. So, I hope I've convinced some of you to partake in the wondrous life that is Dragon Quest 10. There is an update that just happened recently where you can play up to this version for free. So come along and join me. You can play all the way up to this stuff that we've done, all for free. I believe you can get up to level 110 now. And you can even do a little bit of version 4 and unlock a couple of the exclusive classes. Now, I don't think you can do master classes if you're free, because that requires a higher level quest. But you can get the pirate, and I'd say that's probably just the best character ever. It's got a gun. Did I mention the pirate has a gun? It has a gun. It's a very good class. So, yeah. Essentially, we're done here. Those are the goals. I just need to realize, who I am, who the fuck I am. And, honestly, I think it's more of a safety thing. Like I said, I want people to think I have nothing. Because once they know you have something, they're just going to try and take it. I've noticed it. You've noticed it. Childish Gambino noticed it. If you remember that, was that his last album? No, his last album was Bandino. Bandino and the, whatever. But the Untitled album they released, I believe it was like 2020 or something. To be beautiful is to be haunted. And yeah, I can't say there's a lot of times in my life where I haven't been actively seeking out, actively chosen. It happens a lot. But because of that, the world tries to just throw value on me if you catch my drift. And I don't accept it. Not only because of the whole safety thing, but it's just a random thing from my childhood that I can't get over. When my people around me really didn't inherently say that the things I was doing were great. The whole loudness, the rambunctiousness, constant ridicule or whatever, which I now take as a little bit of a gold star on my chest. Because honestly, guys, whatever you're doing around me, if it's a laugh, I'm okay with. I'm super okay with. Even if it's nervous laughter, even if you're laughing at me, even if you're laughing with me. If you're laughing with me, that's great. But I don't care, because that is joy. Inherently, if you're laughing, it's very hard to be angry or disgusted or whatever. Of course, the nervous laughter isn't the greatest, but it's trying to push you towards that direction. It's to comfort you. So I really don't care if you're laughing at me at all. That's a positive influence in my opinion. That's all I'm here to do. In reality, it's just a little bit of a positive influence. It's just like a slight edge in that general generation. I need to stop talking. It's been far too long for me talking right now. But yeah, anything in that positive direction, I love. I'm here for. That's the one. That's what I need. Because I think there's a lot less positivity being spewed around, not only the internet space, but the world in general. I can see it. A lot of times when I get stopped, when I'm doing my walks, it's not from people who are happy and smiling and say good morning. It's not. It's not even from people who are like, oh my gosh, your outfit's cool or whatever. It's usually from someone asking for something, like, can I get a cigarette? Can I get a lighter? Can I get some money? Or, and this is what I love, someone actively making fun of me. Actively. And who knows if this is really what they're trying to do, or, what they're going for the concept of, but I love it because they're laughing. They're smiling. They're having a good time. And remember, this is super late at night because once again, it's a hot area that I'm in, and also I hate people. So late at night and early in the morning is usually when I walk. Late at night walk happens one time. I'm just standing by a stoplight waiting to cross the street, and the person's like right, stops out, and I have to cross like in front of him to cross, and the light's about to turn green. So I'll stand there for a minute. Why not? Then he rolls down the window and he starts talking to me. And I didn't have my glasses on because I'm a super nerd, so I couldn't see, how he looked or whatever. But I could not I'm like, Jesus Christ, how drunk is this man? Because he was super slurring the words. And yeah, he just starts, talking platitudes, and he's like, "Oh, yo, you got the cool shirt, man. Oh, and then all the people in his car were like laughing and shit or whatever. And I just took, just stand there and just really didn't say anything. And then he just kept going on and on and on, and the light turned green and he just left. I'm like, well, I'm glad he had a good night. I'm glad hopefully they had a good night. I just don't care. I didn't give him any reactions. I didn't give him any, smiles or thumbs up or anything. I just kind of stood there. I just kind of stood there. I'm not even going to say what outfit I was wearing because honestly, I don't remember. It doesn't matter. The thing is, people will find something, to try and trigger you, to try and, do whatever they can to you because life is boring, guys. Life is very boring to people with nothing in their brains. Me, I have far too much in my brains. You could probably tell is the fact that I've talked for like, what the fuck? How long has this episode been? Far too long. So if you're one of the people, if you're one of the lucky ones who doesn't have a constant inner monologue beating you down on how shit you are at everything in life, you're probably gonna want to, speak your mind and bring those words into the real world. But yeah, all my words are not in the real world. They're somewhere else. It's cool with me. Personally, I prefer it that way. But who cares? If it was different, I'd probably be thinking differently too. Who knows? But essentially, the goals have been set. The life has been read. We're still going on because there's a little epilogue, a little after story here. This is the party, and I think I have been yapping for a little bit. So honestly, I think I'll just we'll wait and we'll do the party episode next time. We're just gonna travel around. There's gonna be one little bit more cutscene, I believe, but you can talk to all the people in here and have a good old cutscene. So have a good old party time with all your friends from version 3 in the holy city of Imraja. I hope you guys enjoyed this wondrous ending of the internet theory. I hope you learned some things. I hope you have some goals yourself, and I hope you try Dragon Quest X because it's a good game. It's a good game. I know I didn't talk about it too much, but gameplay is very nice. The boss is very hard, but we beat him. And yeah. Everyone have a good whatever day I upload this on. I love you guys. Subscribe. And I'll see you next time.
Getting better, I'm getting better, said